Okay, hello and welcome to the Oasis 13. It's your host, Imani, and I have a very special guest here with me today. Her name is Dara, okay, and she is one of the people who inspired me to travel when I first started traveling to South Korea, honestly. So I'm
Oh
so
my God.
excited to have her on the podcast and Dara, I just want you to start off by telling your experience of, travel and, what got you into travel, where you've been, and then we'll
Okay.
get into the conversation.
Nice. My name is Dara. What got me into traveling? Wow. I think the first time I got on a plane, I was young. My mom's from Trinidad, like I was saying, and uh, going back to visit my family in Trinidad was something that she started us off doing at a young age. And so I just remember being so excited on one of these jumbo planes that had like two different levels. I haven't seen a plane like that in a while, but yes, so I just remember being just amazed, like just by the entire experience and getting to know my family over there. And then we did that a few different times and watching National Geographic growing up and just seeing how diverse the world was. I was like, man, I can't wait to travel. Like I remember being in elementary school and middle school and just that's all I was obsessed with. Like
Hmm.
I really could care less about a lot of the coursework and everything I was learning. I just could not wait to get out of the country and experience life.
Hmm.
I just remember being obsessed, and my parents would get me all these geography books and all these travel books, and I became really interested in languages very young. And yeah, I just knew I didn't see myself living in the U.S.
Hmm.
at a young age.
Hmm. That's what's up. So, where
Mhm.
have you been exactly?
So I've been to like Trinidad and Tobago, um,
Hmm.
Puerto Rico, Haiti, uh, Cambodia, Thailand, um, Peru,
Hmm.
Colombia. Uh, wow, I'm blanking. Peru, Colombia, Vietnam, South Korea. We
Yeah.
share that. Um, I am blanking.
Did you say Sierra Leone already?
Yeah, Sierra Leone. Yeah, Sierra
Okay.
Leone, South Africa, um, Liberia. Is that it? Paris. The UK.
Right.
I think. I think that's it. I may have to go through my passport book, but I
Right.
know I've been to 14 countries. I don't think I named 14 though.
Girl, I wasn't counting, but
Okay,
it
yeah, I
sounds
don't
like
know
a
if I named
lot.
14.
All we know is that you well traveled, okay? It
Thanks,
don't mean
sis. Yeah, I think I'm blanking. That's
Yeah.
sad.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
that's a good thing to forget
Mhm.
all the places that you've gone,
Yeah.
that just again, it means that you're well traveled.
Mm.
And that is one of the reasons I want to have you, on this podcast because today we're talking about, we know it's crazy in America right now.
Ooh. Mhm. Okay. Listen.
And we don't, we're looking for solutions, for options, of what to do, what's the best thing for us. And a lot of people, think the best option is to move abroad, and to start their life abroad. And I want to get your take, since you are well traveled and you lived abroad. What do you think about the whole repatriotism to other countries? Do you
Mhm.
think that um yeah, just I ain't gonna add nothing else to it. What do you think
Okay.
about it?
I think it's beautiful. I think that Black folks deserve to travel the world, especially Black Americans,
Mhm.
because we've just been so like. I'm trying to think of the word
Like shut.
stunted.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like we've been so stunted in America, and it's just extremely unfair. And I love that I'm seeing all these Black Americans
Mhm.
traveling and experiencing different cultures and um, just getting out there and getting uncomfortable and seeing that the world. There's so many better places in America. There's so many places that will treat you better. Like you can just relax. You know, I
Mhm.
remember for the first time being able to relax, seeing them. But I remember the first time I saw a police officer, he didn't have a gun.
Mm.
And I remember thinking, what? Like, you don't
Like,
carry
that's a
guns?
thing? Right. Like,
Yeah.
that's a reality for some of these people?
And just like police officers walking by, I don't have any type of stress or discomfort, you know? I just feel free, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that I'm conflicted sometimes because I know I want a life abroad. I know I want to live abroad and continue traveling, but I don't want to leave my people, you know, with all the issues that we struggle with here in the United States. Like, I don't want to leave my people um, behind.
Girl.
I don't know if you ever feel that guilt sometimes,
Mhm.
um, because I feel very compelled to work on a lot of the issues that we struggle with, and but at the same time, what about my life? You know,
Right.
what about my ability, like my desire to see the world and live other places? And I just don't want to forget about all the struggles that my folks are going through here in the United States. So it's hard. It's a hard. Uh, yeah, the duality of it is very complex because I wonder if other groups of people in America feel that way.
Mhm.
You know, I'm really curious about that. Uh, And I noticed whenever I met people, other Americans, like white Americans in particular, traveling abroad, like they don't have the concerns that I have. You know, when we have these conversations
Well,
about
because they don't live in the same America that we do, you know?
exactly, you know,
So,
it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go here, and I don't know if I'm
yeah.
ever gonna return. It's like, well, I want to return because I want to make sure that the generations coming after me and like feel as though this is something that they can do as well, and just I don't know. I'm passionate about maternal and child health. I hate that Black maternal infant mortality is so high here. Like, I don't feel comfortable
Mhm.
working in other countries, working on their issues. And I know that my people over here are suffering greatly, with a lot
Mhm.
of patients. So I don't, yeah, I think it's great, but I don't want us to forget about,
Girl,
how.
I feel your struggle. Okay. I feel your struggle because it's very difficult, especially, like you said, a lot of African Americans don't get the chance to travel. So when we do, we get to see, like you said, there's the world is so vast, and like you can live somewhere and not fear for your life, and you can live a better life. So it kind of it's like it makes it difficult for us because it's like because we saw that other side, we like, yo, y'all, look, everybody, look, like, look, you
Mhm.
can.
Look, yeah.
It's so much better over here. Like, of course, everything is not perfect, but just the way of life is so much better. But like you said, we have that struggle because, we got brothers and sisters and family members and all of that in America who like is still going through the struggle. And it's like we want to help, but also we want to live a good life. So what is the balance? Like where does it it's just a very difficult decision. So I get you. I get you. I
Yeah.
mean, I made a whole daggone I was in daggone Indonesia, okay? A very nice island, and I
Hmm.
was I was really struggling with that. I made a whole video about community or way of life. I was like, I want to be around my
Hmm.
people, but is it worth cuz even, like in the States it's a struggle mentality. So even though I'm around my people, it's like so we just all here to struggle together. That's just what we going to do,
Hmm.
like we don't want to live better,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah, I don't know, girl. I don't know the answer. I really
Me
don't.
neither. I'm trying to figure it out. And I remember I talked to my mom about it, and my mom, she's an immigrant, so she's a very different
Yeah.
outlook than my dad, who's
Mhm.
African American and grew up
Right.
in the South. And my mom is just
And you
like,
said
no,
he's from Mississippi, right?
he's from Mississippi, yeah.
Mhm.
And my mom's like, no, go live your
Right.
life. Like, there's ways that you can support. Your African Americans, Black Americans here. You can donate. You can do this. You can do that. Go have fun. Just go travel the world and bring back those stories. Uh, she's very hands off because she's left the country to come to move to another country for a better life. And so this is for her, me being traveling and pursuing my passions is exactly what she accomplished what she came here to do.
Right.
Um, and so she doesn't always totally understand where I'm coming from when I feel as though I should be doing work that will impact the quality of life for other, Black Americans, African
Mhm.
Americans. My dad gets it. He definitely understands. Um, and we have these type of conversations all the time because like his grandmother, grew up in the South Mississippi and listening to her stories and like how she marched, in the civil rights movement and how active she was. Uh, my dad takes on more of that approach.
Right.
You can't forget your people. Like you need to be doing something. Like when you go back to school, because that was something I always wanted to do.
Mhm.
Make sure you do something that can be impactful. So it's frustrating because our lives don't fully get to be our own lives.
Yeah, we always have to think about yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it's frustrating. It really is because
Mhm.
we're living in this we're constantly juggling in this the duality. I don't know what else to call it. It's just
Right.
it's it's hard though.
Yeah. But also I had the idea of like you doing what's best for you is also what's best for other people because you can't make people move when they're not ready, and not I don't mean that literally. I just mean in everything in life. You can't push people when they're not ready.
Hmm.
So you just gotta if you really feel inclined to do that, you gotta do that because then other people would be inspired. And that may push somebody else. And then they because a lot of like we said, a lot of people don't get out and they don't know and they're just like, "Oh, I could never. Oh, I would never." Until they
Hmm.
go and they're like, "Yo, this is what it's like?"
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they be like, "Damn, I don't want to go back to that."
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's oh my gosh, that's so true. That is so true. Like I talked to I was a part of a mentor program in DC,
Mhm.
and this was in college. Yeah. So when in the summers I come back and I'd work with the kids and I tell them about some of the experience I had, and they're like, they don't like us over there. They don't like us over there. They don't like us. They treat us bad. And that's just, it's really upsetting because of course we know that racism and prejudice, like it exists.
Everywhere. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
exists everywhere. Colorism, like it exists everywhere. So
Mhm.
it'd be a lie to say you will not the chance of you being treated unfairly because of your complexion and because of your race abroad. Yeah, it would be a lie to say that won't happen, but
Mhm.
that's not all of it. Like
Right?
that's a small sliver of the experience being abroad. You will meet lots of wonderful people. You'll learn so many different things. You will just have this wonderful, hopefully, experience. That just, like you said, shows you how vast and colorful and beautiful and vibrant the world is. And,
Mhm.
when I would tell these, I guess how were they? 14, 15-year olds about some of my experiences, you could just see their eyes kind of widen
Right.
and they
Yeah.
realize that it could be, it's something that they
A
also
reality.
pursue. And I remember
Mhm.
experiencing that too in undergrad during my time at Penn State. I went on two different study abroad trips, and then I was like working within with um, the global health. What's it called? I can't remember the name of it. Not global health. This global community where like a lot the foreigners, the international students that came attended Penn State, they wanted
Okay.
to mix and mingle with American students, but
Mhm.
sometimes it was kind of challenging. Like they went through a lot, trying to uh, just uh, integrate into American culture. And
Right.
so these really cool programs. And I remember telling a lot of my friends about them, and they're like, "Oh, I can never do something like that." It's like, yes, you can. The money's
Mhm.
here. Like, if you want to study abroad, Penn State has money available. You just have to apply for it. If you want
Mhm.
to get to know people from different cultures, so you can debunk a lot of these myths, here's this
Mhm.
opportunity. And I remember so many people started to get involved, and it's because that seeing someone that looks like us doing that shows that the opportunity is definitely available,
Right.
and it makes
Yeah.
it easier.
Mhm. Yeah, so you bring up a really good point of just like how we're fed these ideas and we automatically believe it like it's truth.
Mhm.
And I think definitely one of the ideas, they try to separate us, the whole African diaspora, all across the world. And one of the places a lot of people are repatriate, how do I say the word? I can't say the word now. Repatriating to.
Yeah, you said it.
Gotta
I
say
didn't
it
slow down
slow.
too soon.
Is Africa. But, some people's argument is like, well, they don't like us, or, it's just a disconnect. So can you speak to your experience, because you were in Sierra Leone, of like their view of us, and how, like your experience with them?
Yeah, so in Sierra Leone, I would say that I was othered a lot, and that was
Mhm.
because of my nationality. That's because of being American and like how many of the Sierra Leoneans that I came in contact with viewed America, as this like pristine, wealthy place that the land of opportunity. And we can't ignore that. That's the truth. Like
Mhm.
there are a lot of possibilities here in this country that many of my students and like people that I worked with in Sierra Leone will not, it would be difficult for them to experience in their
Mhm.
country. In Sierra Leone, just when you look at the history, like they had a civil war for a very long period of time, and then they experienced the Ebola epidemic, and so they're coming from a place of haven't experienced a lot of struggles,
Mhm.
and they were welcoming. Like I can definitely say they were extremely loving, like welcoming. They were so curious about about our lives in America. They had very little, at least in my community, like where I was teaching. And it wasn't the same for like Sierra Leoneans in the city. It was a bit different because the education system is different there. And they get taught under the British education system. So
Mhm.
especially in the cities, they were a lot more aware of the history of the slave trade.
Mhm.
But in my community, they weren't. So they had
Right.
somewhat of an understanding because they knew that the Creole people of Sierra Leone were, they called them the slaves. Oh, that tribe is the slaves. And they were the group that, uh, when the UK abolished slavery, they brought this group to Sierra Leone and established Freetown. And these previously enslaved people who were living in the UK had, spoke broken English, and they called them the Creole people, even though technically they were from a bunch of different
Mhm.
African tribes prior.
Mhm.
So they have somewhat of an understanding of the slave trade. It's not as much of a, in-depth understanding as like Sierra Leoneans in the city who were given more of like
A
I would say,
world
a
knowledge.
well-rounded education. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But they were welcoming and loving. And the fact that we looked the same, that automatically brought a level of unity. Um, it was hard though, because the way that they view white folks, like America to them is white. So sometimes
Mhm.
they may call you a poto, which is like a term for a white person. But that's because of the tongue, not because of the looks. And
Mhm.
those conversations were very interesting. But I think for people, some of the Black folks, Black Americans in my cohort who were going there, who came to Sierra Leone with the expectation of being welcomed like family and being treated immediately as if they're a Sierra Leonean, were extremely disappointed. They were really disappointed because they can't treat you that way. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's not
It's like
possible.
you didn't live the same experience.
Exactly. Like
Mhm.
we're coming from a very privileged country. I mean, having an American passport, having that blue book
Yeah.
is privilege within itself.
Yeah.
So we're coming from two different worlds. And so I think it's a bit unrealistic to think that we can come to a low income country such as Sierra Leone and be welcomed like with open arms when there's have so many struggles that we would never,
Right.
truly even understand.
It's such an American mindset, to be
Yeah,
honest. It's like,
it
"Oh
is.
my God, love me. I'm here."
Yeah, and they're like, okay, give us money. Like, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like, if you really love us, like, if you want the love,
Right, right, right. Like,
no. my kids need this, my kids need that, my people are struggling. But
Mhm.
I won't. But the being black though does create a unity. It's art. It for me in my experiences, it definitely created a a level of comfort that they did not
Mhm.
have with other races that were
Mhm.
within my cohort.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had a great time. And oftentimes if I didn't speak, nobody knew, nobody knew I was a Sierra Leonean. So a lot of times I would just not say anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes she's sitting next to the white people like, I don't know you. They're talking to me. They're talking to me because then they're going to try and charge me, or you may bring on some annoying like harassment or just something
Yeah.
when you're next to them. So I was like, leave me alone. I don't know y'all.
I'm weak. Um, I saw that you were doing raising money, while you were there for the
Hmm.
schools, and that was like so popping, okay?
Thanks,
Because
girl.
yes, because I saw, like you would post pictures of what was going on, and then, what was actually getting done from, people who were supporting. And
Mhm.
so, um, was that like that was something you just decided to do yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah. So as a Peace Corps volunteer, you can create projects,
Mm-hmm.
but it could be something. It doesn't have to be on that level. It could just be something like more community, like wise, and it could be helping to develop a curriculum for the students, or trying to implement, I don't know, like a hand washing program or something that small. But the school said they needed a library, and I felt as though wow, like these, you know, people in my community welcomed me, and I mean they really treated me as if they've known me, my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And they had very little demands of me. Like they were just very happy for me to be there. And so I was like, Dad, like what can I do
Yeah.
that also, show that appreciation as well and let
Right.
them
That
know like
reciprocation.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they needed a library. So I was like, okay, we can do that. And it's crazy because, when you think about how much, and I wonder if you felt this way in Indonesia,
Mm-hmm.
you just see how wasteful we are in the United States. Like
Yeah.
how privileged we are.
Mm-hmm.
And they just wanted a library. They're like, well, we just need a library.
Right.
Like somewhere we can come inside, we can read, we have access to different books, like we have access to different information. Like that's it. Like
Mm-hmm.
please, like that's all we want.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very inexpensive, to build with like people's donations, asking people to donate on Instagram, Facebook, like different social media platforms. We got that done within like what, 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was amazing. And yeah, I mean the US dollar is so powerful.
It
It
is.
was,
It goes a long way. And that's like a thing. We could talk about that later of like, if you do choose to move abroad, you want to secure some type of US income because
mhm.
you wouldn't have to worry, you know.
Yeah,
Um
seriously.
mhm.
Peace Corps was paying us about like 120 US dollars a month.
Mhm.
That took me so far, living in the
Right.
village.
And
Like
you'd
it
be
took,
like in America like what? That ain't
yeah,
yeah.
I know. And so I just think like if you have the means to do something like that, like why not?
Mhm.
Why on earth would I not do that? You
Yeah.
know, my friends eat like go through, that in a weekend.
Mhm.
$20
Or
that,
nothing. You be like, what was it? What did I even do?
yeah, seriously. Like when you look at when you spend all this, it's like, what did I? So definitely, I've become so much more just money conscious having been
Mhm.
there. So like, oh, this could easily go to this, or this could easily go to that. And so now, what I'm trying to focus on is paying for some of my students' college tuition, which again is nothing. Like
Yeah.
$6 takes care of me for a year.
Yeah.
Like, and that'll benefit your life and like continue, a circle of just a better, it
Just
gives a
like you said, why not? If you
yeah,
can, why not?
yeah.
Yeah. And I have forgot my thought that oh, okay, okay. I remember. So so another thing that I want to bring up is like so, many people feel, even though we're born in America, you know, it's not made for us, our families are here, but it's not like our home because, it's not it's against us, in all ways. But also when you go abroad, like you're a foreigner, it doesn't matter how close you get. At the end of the day, you're a foreigner. So
Girl, you about to yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
hmm like I don't know.
Korea.
Oh,
Yeah.
in Korea, yeah.
How did you feel like in Korea? Because they have a unity
hmm
we do not have. And we're
Yeah.
trying to build, like we're really trying to build that here.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
their nationalism, I mean, it's just to me, it blew my mind.
Yeah. I feel like
They're so
honestly,
unified.
yeah, and I love that. Like I I can't hate on that. Like we need that. We need to do that. That's one of the things that I feel like I wanted to take back to America, like even the little things like how they eat, like when you eat and it's a community thing, it's just like little things like that that bring you closer, even if you like, damn, I don't want to see nobody, I don't want to eat with nobody today, but it just forces you to do that. And honestly, I felt really welcomed in Korea because my main co-teacher, she was amazing. Like when I first got there, she was just like, you can think of me as your Korean mom. And I was like, oh my God, I freaking love her. And I wasn't close with all of them. I ain't gonna sit here and act like I was. One of them, she
Yeah.
really got on my nerves, okay. But just
And my
her
hair.
but just her setting up that daggone, like when I first arrived, it really made me feel welcomed. And then, like, I was in Daegu. I knew I didn't want to live in Seoul because I just know I'm not like a big, big city type of girl. So, the neighborhood that I lived in, also very welcoming. It was like these old ladies at the store, and I love old people, and they was always talking to me, and like it was like a little coffee shop. They gave me like free watermelon juice one time. And it's just little stuff like that, just like, oh my God. Um, but yeah, but at the same time, you're a foreigner. So where I would feel that was like in school. And they would be talking. I'm not understanding what they're saying. At first, I'm like, okay, it's cool. I don't have to try to entertain them. But then after a while, it just gets like isolating, especially like I know when I was in the States, like with me and my coworkers, we used to have like conversations like these all the time. So it was just different.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely had a lot of moments like that where I'm like, wow, I'm really a foreigner. And and it's so funny because I remember the first time that I felt it,
hmm
I was like, okay, Dara, how can you turn this into, change it like for yourself so that you become more comfortable in it? Because that's not changing. I am a foreigner.
hmm
And so I had to become comfortable with
Right.
being a foreigner and knowing that this is my identity and that I would get ghosted a lot. Like, we're trying to make friends with other Korean women. Like, I would
Yeah.
get ghosted so much. And I realized it's a thing. Like, it was this weird cultural phenomenon that other expats in particular, no, I wouldn't even just say black, that just expats in general were experiencing, like the
Uh,
ghosting. Did you ever, I'm talking about?
well, like the Koreans that we ended up getting close. So when I was first there, the Koreans that we were like a part of this salsa group. So they were more open to foreigners, I guess. So I guess it depends on, like how you meet them. But yeah, so they were really welcoming because they wanted to get to know foreigners. It wasn't
Mhm.
like they was, just like, oh, you in Korea, whatever, they wanted they like learning about other cultures too. So um they were really welcoming. And then one of my teachers that I actually didn't really like at one point, until I got to know more about her of like why she was like that. She tried to like hang out with me. At first I was like, girl, no, I don't want to hang out with you. You got a bad attitude. But it was refreshing because she started to tell me like her life story and stuff. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I get
Yeah.
it, you know, like
Mhm.
so but I wouldn't say I really I also wouldn't say I really tried to like get not I didn't try to.
Her life story.
Yeah, so but also I wouldn't say that I was like it was just the Koreans that I knew were Koreans that were like in, either in my school or through the salsa group, but other than that I wasn't like trying to as much, to put myself out there to have friends like that, which is maybe a bad thing, but
No, 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 girl, that's fine.
yeah.
That's yeah. Okay. And yeah, that makes sense. So
Mhm.
like so did you go through a program?
Yeah, so I was in Epic. I went through Epic.
Okay, I didn't do Epic. I went through just like recruit like I used adventure teaching,
Mhm.
and then I used like some recruiters. So I didn't go
Mm,
through a program, which I think makes a big difference. Like
it
because people who
does.
go through the programs, you all have like
A
a
community.
solid foundation,
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I just,
You
girl,
just
I
was
just was like, oh,
yeah.
oh yeah, I had to actively make
And you were
friends.
at a private school, right?
Yeah, I was at a hog.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to like find actively
Mhm.
search for relationships and like to build community. And I know I was in the Black in South Korea
Mhm, mhm.
Facebook group. So that
Mhm.
was nice because there's a lot of people on there you can talk and like fellowship and meet people in
Mhm.
your area. But yeah, I had to seek friendships and like I was successful. And I like some of the friends that I met there are
Mhm.
still some of my closest friends to this day, Americans. So
Yeah.
Um, but this young, I met a lot of South Koreans, but it took a
Mhm.
while because of the ghosting. This whole like they, I want. It's so funny because when I saw other people talking about it, I was like, okay,
It's
it's
not
not
just me.
just not.
Yeah.
It's not just me. It's being ghosted by Koreans. And
Yeah.
my friends, like the friends I did eventually making Korean friends I made, they would say, yeah, it's a thing. We do it. We don't. It's just a cultural thing. Like,
Like, why is that? Why are
I
they
don't know.
so like
But I see memes about it too, and so I'm like, okay, I know this is a thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it was very hard at like trying to build relationships. But luckily, I
Mhm.
think I didn't go in expecting to build friendships. I knew it was something that if I was lucky, I'd be able to cultivate. But I
Mhm.
didn't go in with that mindset. So I know a lot of people who dealt with a lot of isolation.
Mhm.
And that can be really challenging.
Mhm.
That could be especially when it gets cold, when
Yes.
those winters are
It is not a joke
extreme.
there. Not a joke.
No. But I
Ooh.
remember feeling like a foreigner when certain clubs wouldn't let you in because you're a
Oh
foreigner.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes, that
they wouldn't
definitely
let you.
is a thing.
And
That
yeah,
yeah.
I haven't been let into clubs because I'm black. Like I've experienced that abroad, but I have not experienced because of nationality.
Mhm.
Like there were some places in Korea they let white people in, like they let
Yeah.
white. So
Mhm.
I was like, okay. I experienced that in Colombia too,
Mhm.
but then to experience not being like none of us being
Yeah,
let in.
like only Korean.
Well,
It's
damn.
like it's like at the same time I'm not mad, but
Right.
at the same time it's like, dang, you
Yeah.
know?
Can we do this in America? Can we bring this back to
Right.
America?
Like, why is that? I mean, can we
Yeah.
yeah.
They really they love their people. And I know, listen to my Korean friends talk about like some of the social issues that they experience there and like the socioeconomic barriers and like all that stuff. But one thing, Koreans will ride for their own. I don't know if you ever. I have one story. I don't know. Can I tell a
Mhm.
story?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so when I first got there, I remember the principal wanted to go over some rules with me, like some of
Mhm.
the laws, just so I was, aware. And he's
Mhm.
like, just remember, uh, if a Korean hits you, do not hit them back. If you're clubbing and stuff like that, if you go out, if a Korean hits you, do not hit them back because the minute you hit them back, doesn't matter who
You
started, doesn't
wrong.
matter
You
who did
wrong.
that, you're
Yeah.
wrong. I was like, what? And I remember being out one night and this Korean girl, like we were in the club, and I guess I stepped up on a ledge that she was on, like her and her friends were in VIP.
Mhm.
I stepped up on the ledge just so I could, get a little bit of cover. I wasn't even in her section. Okay. I
Uh-huh.
don't even want to be in your section, sis. I wasn't even in her. And she pushed me. And I'm not talking about like a
Look,
nudge.
yeah, yeah.
She just pushed me hard. Like, oh my gosh, it was so mean.
Yeah, like what on some mean girl
Yes.
stuff.
And I was just turned around. And so mind you, hip hop clubs. Remember, hip hop clubs were really big. They love hip hop, R&B.
Yeah.
They our music.
Yes. Mhm.
And that, and I'm just like, and I remember being so
What did
agitated.
you do?
I turned around to swing on her. Yes, I came out right with the hook. And right when like I was like getting ready, I guess, to throw a punch, it was clear.
Yeah.
One of my guy friends picked me up and like carried me out the club. And I remember my friends were just like shouting at me. They're like, "You're gonna get us arrested, blah, blah, blah." And I just remember being so mad and so frustrated because it's like, I mean,
Y'all didn't
appropriate.
see what just happened?
They appropriate. Hmm?
Yeah. I'm like, they
Yeah.
didn't see what just happened?
Okay, no, it's because we would get in trouble. And so
Yeah.
that was something that I found very frustrating because just the cultural appropriation in general. You're
Mhm.
appropriating us, and then you're appropriating my culture. On top of that, you're gonna beat me up.
Right.
I didn't even do anything to you, sis. And it was just so. And I've had a lot of experiences. I had a lot of experiences like that, where
Mhm.
we're all in the hip hop club for whatever reason. Like I'm maybe one of the only two or few black girls in there,
Mhm.
and one of the a Korean woman wants to pick a fight, and
Mm.
you can't do anything about it. You really
Mm-mm.
you just got to walk away because
Yeah, they do ride for theirs. They do ride for
yes,
theirs.
they do.
And that is when you will definitely learn you are a foreigner. They'll be like,
Mhm.
get out of here. Like,
Yes, they kick you out, and you don't even have to be in the wrong, and you're getting
mm-hmm.
kicked out. And it's like, I'm literally dancing, and this girl just started something. You have to
So,
go.
so,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Did you
yeah.
ever experience like any racism or like,
Yeah, I feel like, well, we talked about the club thing and, just them not letting us in. And, what's another story? So, again, because I didn't put myself out there to like get to know, like to be in, with them. Um, I don't have a direct story, but I do know another story of like not now there's like little things of racism, but nothing that is like, overt.
mhm.
Um, but there's another story that I have of like one of my friends, she was like living on the military base and
Which one? Do you remember Osan or was it Pyeongtaek? Or
I
something?
don't remember which
Okay.
one.
Mhm. No,
But
Humphreys is big there.
who?
Humphreys?
Oh, where's that one?
I don't know, but I remember Humphreys was. I think it was Humphreys. I'm sorry. Go ahead, girl.
It's
Yeah.
okay, it's okay. um, but yeah, so she had a whole big thing basically where they was about to like, you know, like she had lost her job. Like she was struggling because she had gotten a fight with somebody and I think she smacked him or something. Like he
Okay.
I think it was a white dude, actually. I don't think he was Korean. I think it
Oh,
was a
man, that
white
could be
dude.
just as bad. That could be
Yeah.
just as because
It,
the
it
way that they go hard for white folks.
yeah, they want to be white.
Yep. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
um she was like when the police came, they was just sticking up for him and then she
Yeah.
just like it was just a whole long process. Like after that happened, she was like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go. I don't know if I can stay here. I don't know if she's still there. or what happened with everything, but I know it was just taking a toll on her because they do not play no games. And like you said, they want to be white, So as much as they stick up for Koreans, even though they
They will
appropriate
ride
our
for them.
culture,
Yep.
they will stick up for the white people. So
Hmm. Facts. Yeah, that
mhm.
that was really hard. I think like that. These are the stories like, and because I was living in Dongtan, so that is about. It was one of the new neighborhoods that they created.
Mhm.
It was 30 minutes outside of Seoul, so I spent a lot of time in Seoul, and I was in between Suwon, another big city.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if it's because of my location. I experienced a lot of racism, especially going to Seoul and partying and like, yeah, because there are a lot of white folks that are located in
Mm.
that area.
See, that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I picked Daegu too, honestly, because they said it was the like had the largest black,
Black, yeah,
you
I
know.
almost went to Daegu. I almost chose a school in Daegu, but they ended up
Uh-huh.
not picking me. So
Uh-huh.
I was like that. I was between Daegu and Dongtan.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, girl. These are the stories I don't always like to share because I
But
don't
it's
want to
needed.
deter. Yeah,
Mhm.
I really don't want to
Mhm.
deter Black Americans and Black folks just from traveling.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
mean, but
it's tough. It
you
was tough.
know, yeah, you gotta you everything is not peaches and cream. So, we gotta tell what's good. And that brings to me to one of my questions of like the positives and negatives of living abroad. You
Hmm.
know, again, I said like, you know, I think we touched on it at the beginning of like one of the things is basically just your mind is freer, and then, just the environment is better overall and your way of life. However, one of the negatives for me was community and cuz people it's like a people go in and out, especially when you live abroad because people who live abroad, they just like to travel. They're like, okay, I'm good with this. Next country, so it's just like that was one of the negatives for me. So for you, what would you say your positives and negatives were?
My positives definitely feeling more free.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Definitely having a lot more control. Like I love the way transportation. Like I love transportation in Korea. A lot of the countries I went to, I just love the transportation, and I love just how powerful the dollar is because I'm able to. I have a lot more just options when it comes down to traveling, like where I want to go, what I want to do, and I like the laws. I guess the policies in place for foreigners working in other countries a lot of times because you have a lot more freedom like throughout your schedule, with your hours and whatnot. I find that a lot of countries do a way better job than the US in prioritizing like quality of life for
Mm-hmm.
workers.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not everywhere. Like I want to make that clear because I know in a lot of countries people are exploited and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. But I mean, as an American, I had a lot more.
We have a lot of privilege, honestly. Like
Yeah.
even though we're foreigners, and
Mhm.
if we mess up, they'll do something. But they also make it really easy for us in a lot of countries.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot easier. And so, um, I love that. The things that I don't like, though, I think the racism, like that was really hard for me to deal with. And because sometimes I felt so isolated
So
in
are you
experiences.
so besides Korea, where do you feel like you experienced it, like, on a grand scale?
Oh, I would definitely say Vietnam,
Mm,
Cambodia, for sure. Like even in Hong Kong, yeah, in Hong Kong,
mhm,
um, South America, Peru, and Colombia, the two countries that I visited. And I spent 4 months in Peru, and in Colombia, I think I was just there for 2 weeks, close to three
mhm,
weeks. And so, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard
mhm,
because it takes an emotional toll. Like the
mhm,
isms, racism, like all that stuff. It just all the isms can take an emotional toll. And I have one friend I remember in Sierra Leone, like she's full figured,
mhm.
and that her body shape, like just
Right.
all the experiences that she had there. And she was talking about in other countries too, like because of her body and the way that she walks through the world, like people feel as though they have a right to comment. And especially when you're going into other countries that have their own, they already placed their views on top of you, and just it's very hard to navigate. And
Mhm.
yeah, I found that the racism is particularly challenging because it's overt. Like at least my experiences have been overt. Like
Mhm.
I haven't had overt experiences in the United States, but I also think that's because of I'm from PG County. I'm in a predominantly
Mhm.
Black area.
Mhm.
Even at Penn State, they weren't overt. They were
Mhm.
definitely there. A lot of microaggressions, but abroad, oh, like I don't know if it's because of the language barrier. No, I don't even think that. I think it's just been complete ones.
I
Like I
think
remember one time.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I remember one time I went with my friend and her friend who was visiting to Busan,
Mhm.
part of Korea. You went to Busan before?
Mhm. I love Busan.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and we went to a jjimjilbang.
Mhm.
And my friend is lighter.
So a jjimjilbang is a spa in Korea.
Yes. Uh, and my friend is lighter, and her friend is like, white passing. So for me, they didn't want me to get into the bath. They wanted to watch me scrub myself before they let me into the bath. So
You know
I
what?
watched,
I
and
d I also had an experience like that. Like,
yeah,
they will just be like, like they'll just like watch you and then you'll
mhm.
just notice they'll just like,
Girl,
slowly
they
move
told me.
away. For real?
They told me, like, they made it clear, like, even though there's a language barrier, the way that they were talking and the movements and the gestures made it
Right.
clear they did not want me in their
Yeah.
bath
Yeah.
with them. And like, it was these older, like Ajumas, these older Korean women, they did not want me in there. And
Mhm.
my friend didn't know what to do. And her friend kind of, they didn't know what to do. Like, I don't think that they were prepared for that
Mhm.
and like how to
Mhm.
support me through that. They really didn't. And
Mm.
there's been a lot of things, like even like comments about my nose, because I have I'm black, like I got a
Right.
nose,
Right, right,
and
right.
you make comments about that, like at my school, uh, oh, your nose is too big, or you need this, but yeah, those overt experiences where they were just like,
Yeah.
don't like the
Like
way you
that
look,
made you feel really uncomfortable.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes when people just hate you, you
Mhm.
hate me before I even open my mouth, or I haven't done anything to you, and it's just like all of your perceptions about who I am and like my people and all of that, like you're they have no shame or no fear in projecting that and making it clear. So that was
Mhm.
really hard.
Mhm.
And even that happened to me once in Colombia. They wouldn't let me into a club. And my friend that was with two friends. One of them is Haitian and Dominican, and she could speak Spanish fluently. And she heard the bouncer kept telling us the that it was a private party. This popular club in Cartagena they were having a private party.
Mhm.
We weren't. And so he was talking on his microphone, and my homegirl could understand. And basically, they said they reached their quota, their black quota, and there were white people coming out of the party. And I asked them, I stopped one guy, and I was like, is this a private party? And he was like, no. What are you talking about? No, it's not a private party. And he was like,
Yeah.
and I said, well, the bouncer just told us it was a private party. He's like, oh, I don't know what that's about. And I said, okay, well, this is your chance, white man.
Right. Say something. Use your privilege.
Yeah, right. Speak up. And him and his friends like really didn't want to. And I remember just being so upset. And my friend, the one who could understand and speak Spanish fluently, started just going off. It
Mm.
was hard. It was
Mhm.
really hard because what do you mean you reached your black quota? You just didn't want us to come inside. You felt as though we didn't fit the image of what you
Yeah.
wanted your club to look like. And yeah, like just experiences like that. And girl, I can go on. In Peru too, like it's just hard because they don't see you. They don't
Mhm.
see me. They
Yeah. They just automatically inflict whatever perceptions they
mhm,
already have. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mm.
that to me is one of the hardest because sometimes you just have to let it roll off your back, but it never really does.
Mhm.
Uh, and like what I'm studying now there's all this research and science behind how like experiencing racism affects the algorithm of your heart. And
Mm.
they see spikes like when someone has experienced or something that they perceive racist and they're talking about it, their stress level, goes up and cortisol is released and all, and that's not good, to like for just regulating your body system. It throws everything out of whack if your stressors are always going off.
Mhm.
So that one is hard. And then like we talked about family,
Mhm.
it's hard like looking at pictures and stuff of
Yeah.
my little cousins growing up and I'm not there, or my
Mhm.
family. They always have these get-togethers, and I wasn't able to be present. Like that was really hard.
Mhm.
This family's important. Like I remember, yeah, we both agree that
Right.
we love our families.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to. I've told this story like a lot of times, so I know if you are a podcast listener, you're gonna get tired of hearing it. Just skip the next 5 minutes, okay? But so I always tell the story of like when I was in the airport in Asia, and it was I was like the only black person I could see for and I remember I went to go like up to get a drink or something at, some store or something. And a little girl, she was with her mom, and as soon as she saw me, she was so scared. She was like hiding behind her mom and
I hate
like
those.
really,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, she's scared of
Yeah.
me,
I'm
like,
fine, girl. I'm fine. You crazy? Like, that's what I would say to kids. Like sometimes when I was on my wits end, and the little
yeah.
kids like screaming, I'm like, I'm sexy. I'm sorry, you just can't see it, child. See it one day.
Yeah, yeah. Like you'll understand.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it's just disappointing because, like, first of all, that's a child. So the only way she thinks that is, from her parents or whatever she's seen on the internet. And it's like, that is really unfortunate because, again, like we said, like they take our culture and what they want and use it for their benefit, but they don't, just like in America, they don't really like us, and they treat us any kind of way. So,
Yeah, you love our culture. You love, all of the attributes, what it's added to, to progress society to some extent, but you know, you don't like
you
us.
don't mess
Yeah.
with us like that. Yeah.
Right. Girl, yeah, the kids crying, that one was hard because I remember there was another black teacher at my school prior in Korea prior to me getting there. So she
Mhm.
went through hell.
Okay.
So and we're still really close to this day, but she went through
Mhm.
hell. Lots of parents, took their kids out of the school. Um, they grilled her. They would come
Mhm.
and watch her teach their kids, like all of that, and she gained their trust over
Mhm.
a year. But she went through what so she went through that, and then so because of that, I didn't have to go through
Yeah,
that.
as much. Yeah.
Yeah, I always call her a martyr. we love it.
Shouts out to her, man.
Shouts out to Sue. Yeah, Sue
Yeah.
Bangisi. She's back in the UK now. But I remember
Mhm.
it just even some of my experiences. So I had new kids. Like I got a new group of kids, and so
Mhm.
when their parents found out that their teacher was black, like
Right.
there were a lot of parents who had concerns.
Mhm.
They grilled me extra hard.
Mhm.
They were on top of their kids' homework in a way that I found very frustrating. Like, and I had to,
Mhm.
just keep it all together. I was coming in with teaching experience,
Right.
I had a couple certification, and prior to that, I also taught for a while here in America, and so,
Mhm.
and a lot of the other teachers had no teaching experience. Like we had one guy who was a wrestler. He was a wrestler,
Right.
no TOEFL at nothing. So just the fact that a lot of white folks come in without having to have any type of teaching experience other than just being born white,
Mhm.
and then they get paid the same level as me is just ridiculous. And I know
Yeah.
that's a big issue in Korea, and they're seeing that now. It's reflected in how the kids are learning. Like they're
Mhm.
not meeting a lot of these parents who pay for top notch dollar at at Hagwon, so private schools,
Mhm.
schools for their kids to learn. They realize that they're not meeting the levels that they should be at. It's because they're hiring based off of look. They're not hiring for quality.
Right.
So so the
As
kids
long
that
as it's a white teacher, they must be smart and they must know
okay.
how to teach my kids. Yeah.
It's so frustrating. And like even I should have known because with my school, if you look at the flyer and
Mhm.
just like all the pictures and the images of the school, it's all a bunch of white kids. Like little white,
Mhm.
blonde hair, blue eyed kids smiling, like we love English. And of
Yeah.
course that's not reflected in the the population, like, my students at all. So there
Mhm.
were no white kids, like everybody was. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's sad when you think about it though, because it's like they're hating themselves. Like,
yeah.
like that's a thing for them too, like bleaching their skin, wearing makeup that's too light for
Mhm.
them. And it's just like they will have like the most beautiful tan, some of them, and they just hate it. And oh no, I don't.
They say I'm too dark. I don't like it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And oh, it was this one really good experience. It was this Korean, but I think she was from like was it Jeju Island? Is it Jeju Island?
Jeju-do, yeah.
Hmm. So I think she had like a different, because she had like this beautiful tan, and I feel like we started talking about that. And, she said that, she would get, joked about that or whatever. And I was like, girl, you are beautiful. Like, come on now. And it's
Yeah.
just so sad, that they look down on themselves and want to be white because why? Why?
Yeah, I know, right? Like you have this history and like, because I know Korea experienced like a boom,
Hmm.
an economic boom, and it had a lot to do with like foreigners coming abroad and like investing in South Korea's economy. And so yeah, just like the imagery that they get, because I had like my students grew to love me, which was something that you probably experienced too. I mean,
Yeah.
once they got past that, oh, Dara teacher is brown, Dara teacher's black, and like
Yeah.
I was able to teach them about who I am and like where I'm from. And
Yeah.
my kids started off speaking nothing. Like I got the first early beginners. I had two classes, and like they spoke no English whatsoever. So being able to be their first, teacher,
Hmm.
they were little, they were really young,
Hmm.
was really nice, and they just grew to love you. Like,
Hmm.
and it's so kids. I mean, kids are just so beautiful because
I know.
they'll acknowledge the differences. Like I remember one of my students would wipe my skin like this and keep looking back at her skin. And
Uh,
they just grow to love you, and the parents, because they see how much their kids love you,
mhm.
they also grow to value you. And I mean, I really miss that. I miss those babies so much. Like I
Yeah.
love them, and
Yeah.
they would make, when they had the skills, the English skills, to be able to convey some of their thoughts. Like I remember one of my students would say, uh, one of them used to, she would always say, Dara teacher's just like me. Her skin's just brown. And like,
Aw.
and she would always make sure to get brown crayons, to draw me. And like, she just would always go out of her way to make sure she got a brown crayon.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my students used to say, they don't have water where Dara teacher's from. I was like, where do you think I'm from? And she's like,
Right.
and so then I had to do this whole lesson once on Africa so they could see different images. And I remember, I guess she went home and told her parents because she's
Right.
repeating what her parents said. And then her parents sent me a bunch of gifts later because they realized, because she went back and said, actually, there is water in Africa, mom. Or
Yeah.
so,
Aw.
yeah. And like, I still kept some of the notes that the teachers, of the parents, I'm sorry, wrote me, and like some of the little gifts. And I mean, they were just so thoughtful. And like, I guess like that was their first time for them to actually face a lot of the
The
incorrect thinking that
ideals
they
they
had about
had.
black folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was the first time for them to actually address it and have to look at themselves. And,
Mhm.
yeah, their kids taught them a lot. Like I remember one parent made that clear.
Mhm. Yeah, and just to bring the conversation back, so the this just goes to show how valuable traveling is, because you gain so much experience and you learn a lot. And it's not always going to be good, but you're learning, and
Mhm.
that is like that's I love to do that. Okay.
Yes.
And so um I have forgot my question that I was
Mm.
going to say. Hold on. Um, all right. So, okay. So I told you, like, like when I was in Korea, I had really missed my community or whatever. And then when I went to Indonesia, I, um, I linked up. It was like, it's actually a lot of Black people there. And so I had linked up with them just to, feel connected. And they would have meetings all the time. And one of the conversations, we would just talk about, life back in the States and like how we can help, living abroad. And I got so mad one time because one of the guys, he was like, "You can only get so far in America." And I was like, "You're wrong. You're wrong. That's not true. We could do it and we can." He was like, "No, there's a cap. There's a cap. There's only like so far they're gonna let you get." And yeah, and I was just like, it just it just really made me mad because I was still holding on to my idea of like we can do it and we just gotta keep going and we just gotta keep trying and it's gonna get better. Um so my question is like, do you think we can actually build in America?
Build as in like generational wealth and like just like the black dollars. Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
I'm an optimist. Like I
Mhm.
try. I think I balance between optimism and realism, but I think it's
Mhm.
possible. Um, I do think it's possible. I think it'll take a lot of generations before we can get there. But I
Yeah.
do think that it's possible. I think about my grandmother and how if she would have seen Barack Obama as a
Mhm.
president. And so I know that this conversation can. I tend to have a lot of debates with people because when I say this, they're like, okay, but what did it materialize into for Black Americans? Like what
Mhm.
has actually changed? What?
Mm.
And I just think like when you focus solely on that,
Mhm.
you can't like the change will never happen. Like you
Mhm.
have to believe it will happen in order for it to happen.
Yeah.
I will not. I could not peacefully rest if I believe that's not possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like it was done before. Like when we look at Black communities that were extremely like economically uh, thriving.
Mhm.
I know people always say, "Oh, Black Wall Street," but there was multiple Black communities like that were similar to Black Wall Street. Like
Mhm.
they're all over throughout the United States. And yes, um,
They,
they were
did what they
systematic.
did. Right.
Yeah, systematically, broken down. But I still
Yeah.
think that it's extremely possible. And like I just can't. I could never say that it's not. Like I know
Mhm.
it'll take a lot. Um, but I see changes happening now. Like a lot of Black folks are empowering themselves, and we're having these conversations about generational wealth, and we're having conversations about financing, like having conversations about how to prioritize your finances, like investing and whatnot. And I just to think that there's a cap, there's always a glass ceiling, but Kamala just shattered that. So
Mhm.
sometimes it takes one, and that somebody watching that is going to be the next, and it'll
Right.
continue going forward, and it will eventually materialize into something.
Mhm.
It'll eventually, it has to.
Like one
You
day
know,
at a time.
one day at a time. Yeah, I just can never say it can't happen because when I look at, it's when I think about my grandmother and all of
Mhm.
her experiences, and just my family in the South. If she saw Kamala Harris today, like my dad and I were talking about this, I don't even know what she would do. She may pass
Yeah.
that back up.
Yeah.
But she just saw so much struggle. Like so she experienced so much struggle and so much
Right.
death and just
So
like
maybe
so
back in
much
her day, she
pain.
probably would think like, "Oh, that would never," you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I don't and so and but she believed we could through the power of education and just having to believe that it's possible. Like that's the
Mhm.
first step. And so
Mhm.
yeah, I know a lot of economists and
When
like
you
black
think about it on a when you think about it on based off of the past, and if you think about it like on a calculated level, right?
Mhm.
Then you would probably come to that conclusion of like, okay, we doing the same thing. It's the same cycle. But like you said, as a people, we got to get back into our faith, and just believe that we can, because when we have that united thought that we can, then we will.
well, yeah, yeah. And so
Mhm.
I just, I just can't believe that it's not possible.
Mhm.
Look at how we're out here in these streets, young
Mhm.
folk that we're demanding justice. Like we're demanding for policy change. We're demanding for laws. Like we're speaking up and we're educated and we're equipped and we're not backing down. So I just
Mhm.
can't believe that it'll stay that way. I think it does a grave injustice to our people and like the future of our community to think there's a cap. And I'm
Mhm.
sure it was a man who said that. I don't want to get into that whole other topic, like Black women, we've been doing this work.
Yeah.
Black women have been out here. So you can't tell me as a Black woman that it's not possible,
Mhm.
like, because I see the impossible happen every day. And like,
Right.
no, yeah, I can't. I refuse to believe that. And we may not see it. We may not see the drastic changes that we want
Right.
in our generation, but it's coming.
Mhm.
Like my little cousins are talking about they opened up Schwab accounts, Charles Schwab accounts, and they're like, buying into different stocks and like
Mhm.
developing their Roth IRA. Like they're on it. And
Mhm.
they're having these conversations with their friends and they're demanding more from their universities, they're demanding more from their school, they're learning their rights. And like I just can't believe that there's a cat girl. What about
Thank
you?
you for that message. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I feel like I can see how both sides you can see that, because like I said, some people think more calculated and they're just like, well, based off of this and based off of what happened and based off of, our income and all of that. Yeah, then you will come to that conclusion. However, you know, again, we've always been very spiritual people, some people, whatever you believe in or what, whatever type of religion you believe in or whatever, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, it's God, you know. So we got to tap into that, to believe it, and I guess it does always take us Black women because we always are the ones like, yes, we can. We can. What are you talking about?
I mean, you see what we just did, girl. You see what
Yeah.
Black folks just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got Trump up out of there. Like, yeah, I know they're still counting, but whatever. We got Trump up out of there. Like, you can't tell me as a Black woman we can't get stuff done. We don't
Yeah.
always do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, girl, I can't believe that. I can
Because you just contemplated, you like, I can't. No, no,
yeah, and I have
no.
arguments a lot with people.
Yeah.
I have these arguments a lot. Like they're like, nothing's gonna change. There's a glass ceiling. They're never gonna allow us to do this. Every time we move forward, but we're aware. And I
Hmm.
think that awareness is where we is allowing for a lot of the change to happen and the demands for change to happen. Like because we know, because we
Hmm.
know we're very well aware of our rights and we're
Hmm.
learning how to demand for better. Like it's just no.
Yeah.
Change is going to happen. We just may not see it the way we want it, like for what it is right now, but
Right.
it's coming.
Yeah. Go ahead. I agree with you.
Girl.
um, so advice for people who think about, traveling or moving abroad, because we've learned you can't go into it with a certain type of mindset or else you just it's you know so what advice would you give?
Go for it. Be fearless. You were not put on this earth to pay bills and die.
Mhm.
Go for it. Go after it. Like I was talking to some of my girlfriends recently, and they said that there's these tweets. I don't know. I'm not on Twitter, but there's tweets that say like, "Oh, y'all are going to the Dominican Republic, and y'all think that's a trip." Stuff like that, like comments like that that are petty
Like,
towards
why you
other people.
hating?
Why you hating? Yeah, like, oh well, me and my man, we're going to Paris. Listen, if you can wherever you go, like even if it's just to another state,
Mhm.
even if it's just exploring your area,
Mhm.
do it. Like just get out there, learn something new. Like this is your world. So far all we know, we get one life. That's all we
Mhm.
know. We're here
Mhm.
today. We don't know why we're here. We're here. So you
Mhm.
have to enjoy it. You have to
Mhm.
make it just worth something,
Right.
and get out there experience life,
Mhm.
have deep belly laughs. I don't know, eat something interesting.
Right.
Just
Right.
it's your world. Like
Just
you're
get out
here.
the
Yeah.
daggone box. Like
All these
don't
things
allow.
that
Mhm.
yeah. Like
Mhm.
you're all so much had to come together in order for us to even make it us in our parents womb and to like do and survive birthing and like coming into this world. Like you need to enjoy it,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
experience it. It's yours. Like life is vast, it's colorful. Like we said, the world is vast, it's colorful, it's beautiful, and it belongs to you. So
Mhm.
don't doubt it. Do what you can, but
Mhm.
just get out there. Whether it's like
Just
I said,
do
go
it.
to the next city, just do something. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
your life.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
man, cuz like you said, you live and you learn and it's amazing.
mhm.
And one thing I would add to that is, something that you mentioned of some of the people who came to Sierra Leone, they already had these expectations.
Yeah,
And release your expectations of whatever you think is going to be, or because you can miss a whole good experience because you was expecting it to be something, but then it's something else, but that doesn't mean it's a bad experience.
right. Yeah, that's such a powerful point. Go in with not having many expectations. Just allow life to happen to you. You know,
Mhm.
just go in expecting to just be safe.
Yeah, yeah. I
Use
mean,
it
do your
for
research before, but
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I wish everybody could travel. Like I would, man, I would say if I had Oprah's money, that's what I would do. Like I would just pick schools and send kids abroad for free for like I don't know, like a week, 2 weeks, just something so that they
Mhm.
can get out there and just see that
Mhm.
something beyond their backyard.
Mhm.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
it shows you all the opportunity. Like life has just so many amazing opportunities, but we have to go out and grab them. And some of us, we have to work extra hard to grab them, but we need to grab them.
Right, right. Because it's like, it's like a cycle effect. Because, like I said, you are one of the people who inspired me to go, because I saw another Black girl, around my age doing it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I could do that. And then I also know that I inspire other people to do. So it's just like a cycle.
Yeah, yeah, a powerful cycle at that, and like you bring back all these stories and all stuff, and it's just and it just grows.
Hmm.
And I think
Hmm.
I feel more empowered too. I don't know if you feel this way, but knowing that like I was able to navigate, different places alone,
Definitely.
I just feel like you can't
Yeah,
tell me.
right. You can't tell me shit. Like, I can do
Right.
whatever I want. What are you talking about?
I know.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah, like I feel okay, this is I don't know how much time we have, but I want to talk about dating. Like, how has it been for you now that you've had all these experiences coming back, and like if you are dating or have dated? Because I found that's a whole new world to navigate. Because
I Go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say it. A lot of men are intimidated. Like when you
Mm,
start talking to them about some of your experiences and stuff like that. Now, so like my pool is different, and they're like,
definitely.
I can like,
Definitely. It has to be a certain type of man who can handle that you've had experiences in your life and you maybe can teach him something. Um, so what I want to say. So
yeah, don't get in trouble. I was just like, I don't want to
right.
get
Nah, I mean, it's my podcast, so I'm gonna say what I want. But
you.
like
That part.
I just I have my standards are high, and you have to have a certain type of mindset. It's like so one thing that I've said that I'm going to do now is I reach out to the guys that I'm interested in because
Ooh.
yeah, because I already know what I want and I already know the type of characteristics that I would put up with, and sometimes the guys that reach out to me are not that. And so now, and honestly, I feel like it's better that way because as women, we are more sure of what we want than men are. Men are just like, oh, like, you know, they just think
Mhm.
differently. And so, yeah, I watch, I be looking at people, I watch what they say. I watch how they respond to certain topics. And I'm like, if I feel like, he might have that type of mindset, then I will reach out to him, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I feel like the type of dudes that I reach out to, they're not into like they like that, they're not intimidated by that because they're like, oh, they want to know, it doesn't
Mhm.
intimidate them, a woman who can teach them something. That's so like,
Mhm.
get over yourself.
Yeah. No, I like that. I'm gonna try and adopt that. Because I just found that it has changed my pool.
Hmm.
Like
So how
conversations.
do you like what? How do they let you know that they're intimidated? Like, how does it go?
I always know that they're intimidated when they talk over me.
Mm,
Like, or
mm,
they'll say something kind of like that dismisses something that I've said. Or if
yeah.
I have the lived experience that
Like they know more, you don't know nothing.
yeah, like, oh, well,
Yeah.
actually, like, that didn't happen, or that's not true, or, oh, well, my homegirl said this. And it's like, that's fine. Like, we can have a conversation. Like, I enjoy that. Like, I want to know what you
Right.
think. But when you're talking over me or belittling my lived experiences, and there's like this way of like the control that they try to gain. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's like some manipulation. I've just been experiencing a lot, and I'm like, what is happening? Like what is happening? And then I was talking to some
Uh-uh.
of my other girlfriends about it, and they're like, yeah, that they were saying they've experienced the same thing now that they're back
Mhm.
home and they're dating, and like the pool is just different.
Yeah.
They can't date in the same pool anymore that they were once. Like
Yeah,
uh,
cuz it's like,
the conversations are different now.
yeah, it's just different and you just have a different like outlook, and some people don't understand that. And even not even just like romantic relationships, but some friends, like
Hmm.
when you're trying to make new friends, and some people will be like, "Oh, that's so dope," like will be with it or whatever, and some people will just be like, like,
Yeah. Hmm.
mhm.
Like, girl, why you hating? I want us to all live. Like, I want us to all be able
Yeah.
to do something like that. And they can teach you. You could teach me something too. But sometimes it's
Right.
like immediately they kind of put you in this box of like that you think you're better
Right.
or something like that. I
Mhm.
haven't experienced that too much with friendships, but just so far, trying to date. And so
Mm.
I'm gonna take you know, I'm take out of your book. I'm gonna take a note of that
Listen,
and try
if you watching this podcast, okay, and you see Dara, she's beautiful and you are not intimidated by
it.
women who have experiences, reach out, okay? She's going to leave her
Mhm.
information at the end of this video, all right? Because we deserve better,
Yes.
okay?
Okay. Listen, because that's one thing I was not expecting. And then the other
Mhm.
thing I kept doing, I don't know if this happened to you, but I kept bowing to people because I was so used to
Oh,
bowing in
yeah.
Korea. And like even in Japan, like in Japan they do the deep bow.
Yeah,
So I was so
yeah.
used to bowing,
Yeah.
and when I got back, I kept doing that. That was another thing that I kept doing that in Sierra Leone too, because I went from Korea to Sierra Leone. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something else that I didn't expect. I was just thinking of things when I got back that I did not expect.
Yeah, you definitely have to like realign yourself. Like, oh, we don't do that here. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. It's an adjustment. It definitely is an
Mhm.
adjustment. Like everything, just everything. Um, but what did I want to say? Mm, okay. So okay, we already touched on that. Well, um, would you say, I guess this kind of goes into the same thing. Like, would you say the mindset of people that that you meet abroad is different from the mindset of, people who haven't traveled?
I didn't mean to go like this, like, but yes, just yeah, to an extent, I think so. I noticed that the people that I met abroad, and this is like for any like demographic,
Hmm.
they have this this mindset that anything is possible, like, and they were just always down for an experience, an adventure. Like they had a zest to life
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, that I don't that folks that here that have not traveled had. But some do have it. They just haven't had the ability. They have not been able to travel yet.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
want to acknowledge that. But for the folks like that have no desire, because I do know some people who have no desire to travel
yeah. Mhm.
or go outside is different,
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
And I also often wonder, like, what goes into that? Like, what causes you to not,
Yeah.
want, like, what were your experiences growing up? Like, is it fear? Is it like, I'm very curious. Like, I remember one guy I kind of was talking to for a little bit,
Mhm.
um, and he
And
would.
how are you meeting these guys? I wanna know.
Oh, so this one is before I left for Korea.
Okay.
We met in New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah, we met in New Orleans, and so I was seeing him for a bit, and he was just very, very, very against traveling. Like he was just like, no, like maybe like I may go to like maybe Puerto Rico or maybe so I guess he was somewhat open
Mhm.
when I would talk about like living abroad and pursuing like a life abroad. He was very turned off by it. And I remember it. And his friends too, like they all were like, no, why would you ever do something like that? They don't like us.
Yeah.
But he was very much so more concerned with working, paying the bills and like just living a life here, which is, I want to be very careful. Like, there's nothing wrong with that,
Right.
but there's a zest for life that people abroad have that
Right.
it's hard to like. I'm trying to find
It's
the words for it, but it's
yeah.
just a zest for life.
Yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah, no, I get you because um
and expats, in particular expats. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Like like you said, like once you do that, and especially if you do it by yourself, it's just like there are no barriers on your mind at all. It's just like whatever I want to do, I can do it. I just have to know the steps and, figure out what I need to do to get there.
Mhm.
But, if you haven't traveled or you don't have the desire or, your mindset is just different, it seems like those type of people put more limitations on themselves and they feel like, oh, they can't, or, like you said, fear gets in the way of like, or what if something happened to me? Or what if this happened? Or what if I can't come back? What if, just what all these
Mhm.
daggone situations that you don't even know unless you daggone did it. And then it's just different, and I can agree with you, like, if I'm talking to somebody and we talking about traveling and they're just like, I don't I have to stop myself from thinking, "Okay, let me hear them out." If they say like, "Oh, I could never," or I don't, I would never, move abroad, or it's like, "But why?"
Mhm. Yeah, like I always want to know why.
Yeah,
What experiences have you had, or what conversations have you had that led you to that belief?
yeah, yeah,
Like, do you think it's something that you are incapable of doing? Well, why? What are the barriers there? And it's
mhm,
because, and of course, like the fears are valid, but how can we work past that?
right,
How can
yeah,
we work past that? Well,
yeah,
I'm always curious when people say that they don't want to do that. Well, why? Even if it's like just going away for a week, or
yeah,
if you can do 5 days, or 4 days. But I also
mhm.
know like sometimes people have to prioritize like other the needs, because traveling is a luxury. So I'm always curious though. But for the folks who have the means and who have the time, who don't want to, I'm very curious. Like, I don't know why.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Like you'll be surprised. I feel like they'll be very surprised, happily surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had a long conversation. This
I
was a
know.
good
I was looking.
conversation.
I was like, glad at the time. It's like 7:05 already.
Right. um so we're going to wrap it up, and you're in America now. You're in
Yes.
grad school,
Mm-hmm.
and so what are you still like kind of on the shelf or in the shelf? I don't know. On the
Mm-hmm.
cusp of, is abroad life for you or is American life for you? Like, have you made a decision, or do you like want to flip flop between?
Yeah. I definitely want to move abroad again.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
just feel it in my soul. I don't know. You ever have that strong inclination to something that
Yeah.
I would be being dishonest if I said, "Oh, I just want to be in America." Like,
Mhm.
what I'm studying now, though, like I deeply care about this problem, like maternal health for Black women in America, um, and Indigenous populations as well. But my heart is abroad,
Mhm.
so I'm not sure, like what, like a lot of my research right now is focused on Sierra Leone because Sierra Leone has the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. So
Mm.
it's rough. It's really, really rough. And like while I was there, I was working in maternal ward in the health
Ooh,
clinic.
that's
And so,
cool.
yeah, it was really great. And so
Yeah,
I loved working with the mothers and like just they let me assist in helping to deliver their children. I mean, that is just like
that's
the most,
crazy.
I don't know, just the most intimate experience. You're letting me come
Yeah.
in and like fan you, like thank you.
Yeah.
The facility was, had very poor infrastructure, and just you're
Mhm.
letting me like hold your like it was just, I mean, just very like really
It's like
opened
a
up my
yeah,
eyes
just an
to that.
intimate moment to be a part
And
of.
they're just letting you in on that, and it's just very powerful. And so I'm focusing a lot of my research right now on maternal health outcomes in Sierra Leone because
Mhm.
I would love to go back there, like having lived there for close to 2 years, like that's where my heart is.
Mhm.
But yeah, I definitely go abroad again. I didn't plan on being in grad school here because I came home abruptly from Peace Corps from Sierra Leone.
Mhm.
I didn't really have like everything together,
Mhm.
and I would have loved to be in school in the UK, like in a grad program
Mm.
in the UK. But just because of the timing and everything, I'm here. I'm at GW, and it's a great experience. But once it's complete,
Mhm. Right. You
I'm
like,
gone. Like
got to go.
I'm out of here. Yeah, like I would love to work for like the World Health Organization, like and
Mhm.
abroad. Like, not sure what country. If I could go back to Sierra Leone, I'd love that. Maybe
Mhm.
Jamaica
Mhm.
or yeah, Trinidad. I'm not sure yet, but I know it's not here.
Yeah.
I'd love to continue doing work and assisting in research like here, but
Right.
yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not here, girl. What about you?
Um, like I said, I've been going with that internal struggle
Mhm.
of what I want. And I don't know, I haven't made a decision yet, honestly. But I am leaning more towards living in America, but like just traveling, every few months. I want to have a type of job where I control, like,
Oh, mhm.
my schedule and stuff. So I can choose to travel like every couple of months and then that'll get my jitters out of, experiencing and learning stuff. And I won't get too complacent, or bored here.
That's a
So
great balance. That is a great balance. Like, I think
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping, well, not I'm hoping. I can do it.
Speak it
But
into existence. You will.
right, right. Yeah, so I ain't made a decision yet, but we both got to do what, we know what is best for us, and so you got to do that. And I appreciate you for this discussion. It was so good. We had a
Yes,
good
I
conversation.
know. It's just so nice to like talk to people who also lived in Korea.
Mhm.
I just think that I love this type of conversation because I'm still trying to, excuse me,
Mhm.
to look at my like break down my experiences.
Yeah.
Like I still
Like you
think
still learning stuff.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's a long burp. But yes, I'm still learning and thinking about like, how well, when this happened, when this happened. And I'm, journal and try to make sense of certain things because I don't know, especially the racism piece. That part's always interesting to me to like
Mhm.
revisit and try to, I don't know, just look at it from different perspectives. And so I just love being able to have these type of conversations.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to say before we end, that since you brought back up Korea. So it was interesting learning their perspective, like, their history with the Japanese and how they
Yeah.
basically hate the Japanese. And I
Mhm.
felt a little bit more connected to them because I felt like they went through a similar um situation as we did, it's on different scales, but it's similar.
Mhm.
And it made me feel it made me have a little bit more understanding for them,
Mhm.
of because they like hate them,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
legit hate them. And it wasn't until I went to one of their, history museums that I was like, wow, like
Mhm.
I did not know that happened. I was not, I was not interested in it. And so basically, so stop me if I'm wrong, okay, but I'm gonna try to say what happened. So basically, like Japan had more in their war or whatever. Japan came in and they basically took over, inserted their power over Korea, and they used the women for what was it called, like
Like sex slaves.
yeah, sex
Mhm.
slaves. and
Yeah.
and and they just they didn't give a fuck about the
They
Koreans.
committed so many atrocities. Yeah, and that they still haven't yet uh
Admitted.
owned up to. Yeah, admitted.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they have this big rift between them, and I felt like, yo, that's kind of how I feel about with the white people.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I remember when I visited Japan and I didn't know, this
Mhm.
is something that again, I was ignorant toward about, and I was telling my co-teacher, oh, I did, I went to Japan, but I don't remember. She was just like, shh.
Yeah. She was like, we don't even say it with Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when um, I knowledge or like learned about the histories between the
Mhm.
countries. And so, yeah. And then I don't know if you remember, but on the train,
Mhm.
they on the was it Co-Star, Korea Star? They had a
Mhm.
video that they would always show that was about it was essentially like anti-Japan. They would give histories about different parts of Korea that Japan
Yeah.
tried to like colonize or if you like
Yeah.
I remember watching those videos like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they had a
Yeah.
lot of derogatory terms for Japanese and like the same.
Mhm.
One thing I was thought was interesting in Korea, they have a word that directly translates to the N word for us.
Really?
Why do y'all have that? And
Really?
yeah, I can't remember it now. But I remember being called it once and then saying it to like a co-teacher and then learning about it more on the Brothers in South Korea page. And they were like, why
Mhm.
do you have this term? Like this term is not in your vocabulary. This is not a
Yeah.
correct word for
Cause they
this
want to
term.
be white.
It is, and they use it in a derogatory way. So they know
Mhm.
it's not like the A, at the
Yeah.
end is with some type of some type of positive rapport, like a term of endearment, but they have like the hard ER directly translated, which I think is weird because that's a newer term for them. It's not like you have no history with dealing with African
Yeah.
Americans. Why would you have that? Yeah.
Oh gosh. You just
If you listen to this, do not be deterred.
Yes, it's still a good experience. It's still a good
Yeah.
experience.
I'll tell a positive story really quick. Like I remember
Okay.
one time I didn't. I was trying to get one of those Metro cards, and I was having a hard time because this machine, for whatever reason, did not translate in English. And this
Mhm.
old couple saw me struggling, and it's a very busy area. I forgot what train station. It was so busy, and he came
Yeah.
and put 20,000 20,000 won
Uh-huh.
on my card.
Oh.
His own money.
Yeah.
That's like 20 US dollars.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And he was like, and it was funny
Yeah.
couple. So I was like, oh, like look at
Yeah.
that. And I've had a lot of experiences like that where Koreans
Yeah.
come to save the day and they're very sweet and kind and like just want to make that
Right, right, right. Yeah,
I'll
so
go back in a heartbeat.
yeah, I mean, I would never live there again, but I I just don't like cold weather, and they stress out a little bit too much for me. But
Mhm.
it was a good experience. And just to wrap up, so,
Mhm.
you know, it's experience. Either way, whatever happens, just do it. Get out there,
Yeah.
learn something, have stories to tell. The reason that this podcast is so long because we have so many stories, and I promise you we could go on for another
So
daggone hour.
many.
you
Like
know?
I always, I never get to talk. Sorry, I never
No, it's
get to
okay. Go
talk about
ahead.
my time in the Amazon, and that's like one thing. Like if anybody wants to, like I just I that was just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
to have these conversations is rare for me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like she said, I mean, you don't want to miss up on things.
No,
You want to experience all you want to experience. And if you want to experience, if your experience is, staying in the States, then, that's your experience. But if you have, bright eyes for more, there is more and you can do it.
go
And
get it.
and yes. All right. And Dara, please let
Yeah.
us know where we can find your journeys and be inspired.
So my Instagram handle is Dara Darling XX. I think, yeah, Dara Darling XX. Please follow me, talk to me, y'all.
She's
I'm really
so
friendly.
nice, y'all. For real,
I'm so
like before I
proud.
went to Korea, I messaged her and I was like, "Hey, I need advice or I need some help with this." And she messaged me back. And I was like, "Oh my god, thank like," and not just a like little quick stuff. Like she recommended stuff and she gave a lot of information. So don't be afraid to contact her.
Yes, please, please, please. And we can just chat, catch up. I love when I meet sisters. Like when we look alike and you want to go
Mhm.
abroad. And also, I have a lot of love for my sisters of color, women of
Mhm.
color, people of color. Like I love y'all too. It's just
Right.
something that hits, when I see someone that looks like me, that and we have these shared experiences. Because
Right.
we get to meet that many Black women, who are traveling the world like that, and then we can actually sit down and have these type of conversations.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yes. All right, let's end before we go on for another
I
daggone
know.
hour.
Thank you so much, Imani, for inviting me. Like this is awesome.
Thank you, thank you. This was amazing. And yeah, y'all. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I hope you learned something new. And please remember that your refuge is in your self healing. So remember to heal yourself to find your refuge. Okay, peace.